Hello and welcome to the 84 Million podcast. We're on episode 18. We have Falko and Jarod with us of LiteWorlds. So we're going to be talking to them about that and seeing what they're doing with OmniLite, etc. on Litecoin. Both of these guys are on X. Falco, better known as Monochromacorn, and of course he's been referenced on the show before. And then we've got the Lightburst King, Jarod, Jackrabbit NFTs. So Falco, he has a background in IT, and he's the creator of LiteWorlds. He's been building with Litecoin since 2017, and he likes unicorns. He's joining the podcast from Germany and can be found on X at, I think it's Tbuol, Tbuuol. And I've got that on the screen for you guys. Jarod, he is an Orthodox Christian, NFT creator, and a fiat skeptic. He's a volunteer and critical bug finder at LiteWorlds, as well as a social content manager and Discord mod for Lightverse Gaming. He's currently finishing degrees in psychology and criminology. He can be found on X again at Lightverse King. So welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. So we wanted to have you on the show for quite a while. It's always interesting to organize time zones and things like that, and we're doing the best we can. Part of me was balking because I haven't used your platform and I don't know much about it. So I'm going to plead ignorance today, but the nice thing about me sitting here with you guys now is I can actually ask some questions and have you walk us through exactly what you're doing. Because you've been around a little while now. In fact, our episode with Loshan, he specifically referenced you, Mono, and that was pretty cool. So you're honored by one of the great developers in Litecoin for what you're doing with OmniLite. So we get to talk about that today. So did I miss anything for your introductions that you'd like me to add?
No,
all good to go. Okay, so maybe we just start from the top. What is LiteWorlds? Give us an overview.
Yeah, that's always a very good question because there's no prepared niche or something what I used and copied anything. So I just started to create a web version of my own core node so I can access my own node from anywhere. And then on top it came the idea, so if I can use it, why should I create a user system so multiple users could use it?
So you build it initially as a wallet?
Yes.
Was it based in Core or was it always in OmniLayer?
Oh yeah, it was directly based on the OmniLayer.
Okay. Can you tell us just in a few words what OmniLayer is? To be honest, we've referenced it. I know what it is to a degree. You know more about it than I do, and you're building on it. But tell us kind of a little bit about OmniLayer.
Well, the OmniLayer is kind of token system, which is basically built for Bitcoin, which was ported from Loshan to Litecoin. And yeah, you can create tokens and NFTs and tokens. And yeah, so the point why I used it is because it's offers much more options than the core itself, and it's funny to see how OmniLite is working, how it creates its own layer 2 database and all these technical things. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Anything you wanted to add, Jarod?
I would just say that it's constantly evolving. It's always on the bleeding edge of Litecoin. Whenever something is introduced, we are always the first people testing it out, implementing it on browsers. So users who don't have their own node, users who are not very technologically savvy or just don't have the access to the financial resources to have storage for a node, because OmniLayer, of course, you need the full chain. You can't prune a node. They have the opportunity to do that on LiteWorlds, and so it's a good thing for that. I feel like it helps spread accessibility to these options on Litecoin. And a very interesting thing I'd like to note about OmniLayer is that Tether, the big USDT, the big stable coin, they started off on OmniLayer on Bitcoin. And so a lot of people don't realize that, but tokenization begun with OmniLayer. So say what you will, layer two, whatever, but it began here.
What is your ecosystem like for those users versus, let's say you're a builder? Like you guys are building things, you're building this thing out, but I'm a user. What am I going to use LiteWorlds for? Is it just a wallet or what else? And feel free, if this makes more sense, Falko, if you want to screen share and just kind of walk us through different stuff, that
Yeah.
is fine too. Do you want to do that?
Yeah. LiteWorlds, yeah. What can you do? You can basically receive and send Litecoin. What you can do with every wallet itself. So an OmniLite on top offers you to create properties, and properties can be either normal tokens, which are dividable or sorry.
No problem, man. Divisible or indivisible?
Divisible and indivisible, right? Yeah. They can be both or NFTs. So yeah, you can create a lot of stuff with it and use it like you ever want. So you can say you can use specific NFTs to unlock content on a website, or you use normal tokens like I do with my dive token. Where I have it here, the red one. It increased the amount if you click here, claim faucet. If I click, now it says I get 472k lids, and now they are pending. And with the next confirmed block, they move to my balance. Yeah, and as more dive token you hold, the amount of the faucet gets increased up to 2.5%, and the base amount is 0.1% of the balance of this address.
Okay.
So if there is 1,000 Litecoin on this address, you would get 1 Litecoin without any dive token. If you hold dive tokens, you get more, up to 2.5.
Okay, so you actually have a Litecoin faucet.
Yeah, we're running a Litecoin faucet, and the faucet is refilling itself by the fees from the website.
Interesting. You know, I feel like there's not a lot of faucets left. Now, granted, I haven't been going to look for them, but that's a really old school diffusion method, you know, where people would go on a website and claim Litecoin through a faucet. So I guess if you want some free Litecoin, I mean, it's fractional, but you can visit LiteWorlds.quest. And that is the URL, folks. It's LiteWorlds.quest. That's how you find it. I don't know if you have any other URL aliases, but that's what I'm seeing on the screen.
Yeah,
So
that's the main URL. Yeah.
So there's a wallet, there's a faucet. What else can we do as a user?
Yeah, you can create properties. So creating properties offers a lot of input fields. So like name, category, subcategory, URL, and then even more. I compressed a bunch of other things into a content field. And yeah, so I was talking with the big chief energy, or also called Martin Seger, I don't know the correctly speaking out. And he was doing kind of inscribe stuff with OmniLite. So he used all these data fields, converted in file into a hex, and then break up the hex so it matches into the fields, and on that way inscribing a file on Litecoin with OmniLite, even before inscriptions have been a topic. And the way he used it is not really the way you should use it, but it's a funny way to do what he did. Yeah.
Why do you say that it's not the way you should use it? Because you are using it this way. It seems to be interesting.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
If you create a property, I just can speculate. it seems like the amount of properties are limited. So one day we will create the last property and then it's out, it's over. Yeah, and he used only create properties one after another to inscribe data. But if you once created a property, you can go away. Yeah. For example, this is an NFT property, so I can say, please mint NFTs to this property. And now I could say I want here my hex chunks, so I wouldn't mess up multiple properties. I would just fill one property with NFTs. There are hex data into. I can read out, recombine, reconvert, and then I have my file back.
So this is second layer inscriptions, basically. Is that a correct way to view it?
Well, the second layer is a great topic. You have the blockchain itself, and if you read out specific data and store it, you create a layer 2 database. But the layer 2 database is basically just a part of the blockchain. So, and if you go into specific data, you can build an on-top database of your part of the blockchain. It sounds complicated, but yeah, it's the way.
Property is best conceptualized as like a collection. So under property is just a collection title, right? And under the title, you can put your NFTs or tokens in. So there's indivisible tokens, divisible tokens, and then there's NFTs, which are non-fungible. And so the best way to sort of think about the second layer inscription thing is when you have inscriptions on on layer 1 and you're using ordinals, you're inscribing an image onto the blockchain that can be viewed using like either core and loading like a hash, or you can use a service like Ordinals Lite, the indexer. But on OmniLite, what you're doing is you're actually on this second layer database, you're actually loading like an image, which is a link to an image. So you can link that image to an IPFS, which is what people originally did. So when Liteverse first started up and you had the first NFT sort of like trading, it was all on IPFS. But what LiteWorlds has done is created a way to put ordinals onto those OmniLite tokens, onto those NFTs. So you can link your NFT to an ordinal instead of an IPFS. So if you have a collection, and let's say instead of just selling an image to one person, but you want to inscribe something on the blockchain, but you want to sell multiple of that NFT, instead of inscribing it 100 times on the blockchain, which isn't very economical, you can actually just link multiple OmniLite tokens from your official property, your official collection, proving it's you, and give it to multiple people.
Basically, ordinals and OmniLite are not a big difference. So both are using the data flag in a transaction. The difference is OmniLite using the OP return, which is an output, and the ordinal way use some kind of witness data, which is in the input. So the difference is, it seems like you can write much more data in an input than in an output. So that's the big difference, and that's why ordinals is a complete other topic. On OmniLite, there is some kind of, I don't know how to describe it, some kind of data as output, and then the OmniLite node reads out the blockchain backwards and fetching these data inscriptions in transactions and build the layer 2 database out of this.
Maybe while you still have the screen on, do you mind walking us through other parts of the wallet?
Sure, yeah, we have wallet. So we have here, for example, these divisible and indivisible tokens. OmniLite itself offers a dedicated exchange where you can trade your tokens. Sadly, this is not working for NFTs. It's only working for the divisible and indivisible tokens. If I click here all, you can see some more. If you have an own OmniLite node, you can enter get DEX or something like this, and then you get a list, and you will see all these tokens also in the list. It's not managed by LiteWorlds. It's a marketplace managed by Litecoin OmniLite itself. So nobody is an administrator. Nobody is managing it as person. It's managed by Litecoin itself.
So that's what I wanted to ask about, because you've mentioned that before. So this is, again, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It's a wallet you build for yourself. You have inscription features within it. You said, hey, if I can do this for me, why not, allow others to onboard and do the same features, create tokens, divisible and indivisible, create NFTs, et cetera. You've been sharing along these lines. I guess my first question is what I'm seeing on LiteWorlds a projection of some node, or is that its own entity where you host it, et cetera?
Yeah, I have a machine where a node is running on, and a second machine where a web server is running on. And then you call the web server, and the web server calls the node, and they communicate with each other.
Right. So everything that we're seeing on the screen now, the wallet, I mean, we're going to talk about the wallet later and its security and things like that. But the website we're looking at, that's hosted by you. It's a private platform, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
Which is fine. But you're referring to a decentralized exchange of sorts built within Omni itself, which is a user node.
Yes.
Because I've never heard of this until you've mentioned that. So tell us about that entirely. I'm very interested. And how did that even get there?
Yeah, how do you get there? If you run an own node, you just open your console, the node console, and say, let me see. Help. Yeah. And then we say get active DEX cells.
Mm-hmm.
If you enter this command in your node, you get a list of all that cells which are active. So, and if you now let us search for DEX. If we search for DEX, you will see that we also can create payloads for DEX accept and DEX sell, for example. So you can create your own listing from your own node.
If I'm going to buy one of your NFTs and be like, hey, I want to buy it for, Litecoin. I send you a Litecoin and you send me an NFT. That's a person-to-person exchange, but I kind of have to get involved and say, I'll send you this, give me your address. Then it's multi-step. We're going to be, unless I'm next to you with the phone to scan. I mean, these are nodes, right? So we're not going to do that. You're going to email me your address or whatever, or send it to me on Twitter, whatever. In other words, it's very human. Well, you're saying the built-in DEX, I can set it up. So let's say I have, I don't know, what did Loshan create in the beginning? A Rise chicken or something? If he had a bunch of tokens, he could sell 100 Arise chickens and then set a price and just create like a contract, and others could interact with that contract and have distributions if they'd pay.
It's not kind of contract. It's if you have tokens and you say you wanna list it on the DEX, OmniLite freeze it. So they freeze your OmniLite freeze your tokens, and then if somebody want to buy it, you have to start a request first. So you say, hello, I want to buy 5 tokens of your epsilon token, and this request is made via a transaction. If this transaction gets confirmed, OmniLite reserves from your frozen tokens the amount and keep it reserved for the buyer for a specific amount of blocks. So if this request was successful, you can get the DEX data again, and then you will see that your address and the amount is listed as request, and then you can pay it.
Okay.
So and on the final pay, you send the full amount, and you receive the full amount of tokens.
And this is all within the command line interface?
This is basically all only in the command line interface. Yeah. The OmniLite node itself has no graphical tab for it.
Right.
So, and that's why I made a little browser version of it so people can access it.
So would one connect their own node to LiteWorlds?
No, that's not possible. What you can do, basically, the option is right now disabled. If you register on LiteWorlds, you get an address. And if you want, you can get your private key, and you can insert your private key into your own node, and then you're linked.
Okay.
So I would like to clarify that this main page of LiteWorlds is custodial. So it is running on a singular node. And on that node, everybody has a private key assigned to them, and they can interact with the node using their private key, and they can create tokens, and they can interact with the DEX, which again, the DEX is part of OmniLite. It's not on our server. It is on OmniLite's database. But the clarification I'd like to make is that the tokens and the NFTs they don't work the same way. So you have the DEX for fungible tokens, indivisible and divisible, and you can't really put an image to that. With the images you're seeing on the website, we specifically created using the PHP backend of the website, right? We have it displaying an image so you can kind of visualize it. And so if you go to the DEX, the reason you see a bunch of images with like a red 0 and a slash through it, that's because those are just like regular tokens on the DEX. Nobody like registers it through the website, so they're not displaying an image. For the NFTs, you have to go to the trader bot, and so Mono has set this up that you can request to purchase an NFT similar to how the DEX works, and the node will sort of automatically do the transaction for you. If you would like to sign the transaction with your email. So basically, you offer to make a transaction. You go to your email, you sign it. It creates a blockchain confirmation, and then you send the cat, or you send your Litecoin, and then you can receive after one block confirmation, you can receive the NFT in exchange. And I think it's important to understand that LiteWorlds is basically a visual GUI way to interact with OmniLite. And the reason it's important is because people who can't have their own nodes, it's technical, they're not as technical, it's easier for them. But another thing is Liteverse, when they got rid of their ability to handle OmniLite assets, and they sent everybody an email, the only way you can get your assets is by creating a node or sending it to LiteWorlds. And there were some talks between Falko and Allsage about getting this done, but ultimately Falko decided to just keep it. Instead of working with Liteverse, he would just kind of have the option available for users.
Yeah, OmniLite, it's interesting. When did it come out?
2017.
That was before I was even aware of it. I feel like it was rebranded or remarketed or something, because then
Liteverse really made it popular again and created the NFT.
Well, if you go to the main website, omnilite.org or .com or whatever, I'll have to look it up and put it in the show notes. It's still active. They had a registry, database, and everything else, and that I want to say only came out a few years ago, because it came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting NFTs on Litecoin. It was the fall. It was the fall of 2021, I think, is when we got that website and the face.
Yeah, 2021, and then very shortly after, you had Liteverse pop up, and that's when people started, posting the chicken NFTs and all the different stuff that came on the movie posters. Those yellow boxes you see on the screen right now.
Yeah.
So the current color coding system we have on OmniLite is that the golden ones are properties that were created on Liteverse, who had their own way of creating properties, and so that's how we can tell if they're from Liteverse or not. And then you'll have the blue ones, which are just our standard property creation process on LiteWorlds. But the interesting thing is the red ones. Now you'll see that there's some of them with a red outline, and that's something that LiteWorlds and Falco specifically created, which is really interesting. So there, when you're creating an NFT on or a property on OmniLite, you're going to use a JSON to add metadata, right? But there's a character limit to how much data you can or text you can add to this metadata with artifactual. Now Falco will do a much better job than me at explaining it, but basically you're able to embed metadata in a way that you can expand that character limit by quite a bit, and so there's a lot more you can do with it.
Yeah, so the limitation of a data field for properties and NFTs on OmniLite are 255 characters, and that's already a big bunch for JSON, for example. But if you want to create even more, then you have to find a way how you expand these 255 characters. And my idea was either upload it into IPFS, or what is much better, directly inscribe it. So you can take in up to a 399 kilobyte text file, which is a very, very large JSON, and inscribe that. And then you just put in the inscription ID as link to the property or NFT you want. And then you have data like you want.
What is your case for making these properties?
For example, I made, let me see, I can switch here. I made a little RPG game. And on this RPG games, I inbound some NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have the Shinobis from one of our user. As you maybe, I don't know, you can see it here down is written, they have random stats. So because it's just a normal NFT, normal OmniLite NFT, which has none data written into itself. So my princess is here in the artifactual way, and in that JSON file there are directly written health stats, attack stats, defense stats, and these are used for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example. So you can store a lot of data into one single property or NFT and relate to it.
So you're building a game on top of OmniLite?
Not really. It's a database game. The only thing what is here, we have blockchain, and I can transfer items or skills into OmniLite tokens. Then I can give it to another player, and the other player can transfer it back into the game and have it on his own account.
So you just are using Litecoin as like a data storage database?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people view Litecoin that way?
Well, I don't think the mass is using Nakamoto chains. I think the mass is using Ethereum and Solana and all this meme trading stuff, and yeah, that's the big circus.
I think this goes back to just the idea of tokenization and what is the utility of NFTs, right? I mean, you can make a collection. I mean, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I have an NFT collection, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most NFT collections, let's be honest, are just like random images put together and people just sell them, and that's their utility. The real utility of NFTs come in proof of ownership. And you can see, and the biggest argument in the early days was games, and that's what Falco is doing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has the items in this game he's has them on the Omni layer, so there's actually a proof of ownership on chain, and so there's like a digital ID there. So somebody can't just like go and say like create a million of these things and be like, okay, here's my thing, and now I flood the market of this game or whatever. Like think of a larger MMORPG, right, with different items. They can't do that because there's a proof of the collection. The property ID is proof that it's an authentic item, and then the NFT is going to be, or rather the token in this case, is going to be under that property.
It makes sense. I like the kind of the use case. I don't think it's what most people think about. It is discussed. And I think it'll have a continually evolving user experience and probably ease. You guys are building out very early things here when I don't even know what sort of demand you're seeing, and I guess Falko could answer that. But it's interesting stuff. You're pushing the limits on Litecoin because Litecoin is money. That's the primary purpose, but you can also use it to store data. We're realizing that with ordinals and inscriptions and things like you're doing here, but many people, I think, just associate NFTs with just degenerate gambling or something, or, we're just going to trade, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you've made comments, I think, before, I think it was Mono, you posted on X, you said, building websites with Litecoin as data drives and graphics for icons. Tell us more about that and tell us the advantages of it. Because again, that's what I'm saying. You're using Litecoin as like a data storage center.
Yes. Well, the point is, if you build a website, you have stuff like pictures, which mess up your web root to a large amount. And if you are a developer like me, which is extremely lazy, then you just want to say project, upload, done. So, and if your project is, I don't know, 80 megabytes big, then it takes an amount of time to upload, and then you have to wait, and you have to check, did everything work? No, it didn't. You have to upload it again. You have to wait again. So, and that's annoying. So storing all this data on Litecoin, you just get back one little text string, and then you just link all these text strings in an index file to your project, and your project fell down from 80 megabytes to 30 kilobytes, and the upload is lightning fast, and it's much cooler.
It does sound very cool. I think it probably sounds really confusing. To be honest, I don't speak the language you speak, and it's the way it goes. I think developers they do their own thing, and I think it's a challenge to communicate what you're doing because you understand things differently than other users, right?
Yeah.
So like what you just mentioned is an advantage that it sounds like it's economical in terms of storage. Give me an example of this if you can.
I wouldn't say it's more economical. I don't know, because you mess up the chain. Each inscription is in personal dump into a public layer. So yeah, but an example, yeah, you have
what I meant by economical is you said you were lazy, you wanted to do something,
yeah,
and it would have taken you, I'm making this up, it would have taken you 100 steps when you just upload it, and then it takes it down to 1 or 2 steps or something like this. Like it's simplifying things for you as the quote lazy developer. That's what I want. That's why I use the term economical for you or your activity. Explain more about that.
I don't know how to explain really. So I can just show an I'm missing the word. Give me a second.
I just wanted to maybe clarify a little bit for Falco here. So what he meant by economical is really just like if you're a website developer, right? You need a file hoster for your like images and media on your website, right? And if you have a website, a user has to load the website and take, the website, if it's like, a small website, loads right away. But if you have a lot of images, a lot of embedded videos and stuff, it's going to take a long time to load that website. But if you have things on for example, like OmniLite or something like that, and it's loading it from Litecoin, the website itself is going to load faster, and then it's going to load those things after. So it's just easier for the developer, and it's faster for users who are like wanting to access this website.
Is that the way that LiteWorlds is built?
Um, LiteWorlds is really just kind of we're not focused on front end a whole lot, because the idea of LiteWorlds is really to create a back end for the front end. So even though LiteWorlds is like a built sort of like, graphical user interface, and it's usable. It is usable. It's not pretty, and it's not intended to be pretty, because it's intended for people to take the API for LiteWorlds and basically apply the functions that are automated in the backend PHP to a front end website. And there's two examples that I'm aware of right now of that: Litecoin.studio, which recently I think went offline because the creator is working on a new project. So there's might be something coming up with that soon. And Lamb Wallet, which is both, by the way, both of those are from the other two musketeers in LiteWorlds, Your First Name and Romuno. And that is basically, so they're creating a front end for a website, and they're using the API from LiteWorlds to basically use Mono's node to like have a marketplace, or to have a website running those features. And so for Litecoin Studio, it had Sad Frog's Sad Frog NFTs, and you had a way to purchase them, and you can hold them in that wallet. And for Romuno, what he was doing, his idea had to do with music. So he believed that OmniLayer was revolutionary for music, and he said that a creator right now is really being screwed over by the studios that they're contracted under. And if you are a creator who wants to sell your music individually to people, OmniLayer is the best way to do that for a peer-to-peer transaction, that you don't have to go and trust a third party to do this. A creator can just send you, and it's not just sending a file, it's sending a token, right? And you can download the file from the token, but it is a nicer way, an easier, more decentralized way to send a file over to somebody. And so that was his idea with the music studio. And anybody can just request the API key and build a front end on top of LiteWorlds. And that really is the intention for that.
Is anybody doing that?
Yeah, some less. For example, like Jarod said, Lamb Wallet and Litecoin Studio. My RPG is using also this API. So if you create here right now, let's see. I go to inventory. I have sticks. Okay, I go here. I want to say, give me 10 sticks and transfer them to the blockchain. Okay, so I get an TX ID. And if I now go, I have this bar here from screen sharing, which is always blocking me. Open new tabs.
We can see you on our side though, so we're good. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah. So you can see now here, there's a new transaction. It's not confirmed. We have inputs from two different addresses. We have outputs to these two different addresses, and the OP return, which is the OmniLite action. So this is basically now a movement from a system token holding address to the user, and that the system holding address don't have to pay any fee. It's combined. So the system address comes in, the user comes in, system address goes out with the same amount, and the user goes out subtracted the fee. So the system doesn't have any change, only the user, but the system address have to be in, so otherwise the token would be transferred. Yeah, and now we can wait here till this is confirmed, and then we will see here in my token section that I have 10 sticks.
What inspired you to create an RPG?
I played World of Warcraft for too much time.
But did you play Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness?
I do what?
That's a little older. Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness, of course, was a wonderful game in the 90s. So you came in on World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I have played other RPGs before, like Diablo.
Right.
Then later I stick to Warcraft 3. I was for some months I ruled the Lion Tower defense map online, and then I was just bored of it. And then World of Warcraft came out, and then I was totally fixed to this. And I was always an RPG player, and so I know RPG games best, the mechanics and everything.
Mhm.
So that's why I choose to make RPG.
Do you see more?
Model, weren't you?
Do you
Sorry.
see more RPG games incorporating NFTs and these tradable artifacts?
No, but I was really impressed from Lightbringer. Do you know Lightbringer?
Oh, Lightbringer, yeah. That was actually really pretty too. Yes.
I don't know. It's how I understand
That was
the
on chain.
mechanics,
Yeah.
the mechanics of Lightbringer. Yeah, it's completely on chain, so it should be still active. I started playing it. It was really funny. So you create a hero, you send him out on a quest. It takes 4 or 5 blocks, and then it came back. Came back and has some loot and stuff. Yeah, that was funny. But then I found on the built-in marketplace a complete set for warrior gear, and I bought it and I equipped it. And I sent my warrior to the next quest, and then it told me it needs 130 blocks to complete. And I thought, oh, what the fuck?
Takes a little time. Yeah.
Yeah, too much time. Yeah, and here are the sticks. We have 288 lids for this transaction to move the sticks from the system address into my account. So basically nothing.
Right, exactly. 0.00. So I know Litecoin, generally speaking, is incredibly affordable, and we use that talking point a lot. So I think running a game on Litecoin like this with property transfers makes a lot of sense. If you were running this on OmniLite or Bitcoin, what would you be looking at for a fee?
Yeah, the fee to send some sticks would be some dollars. Yeah.
On a good day, a couple dollars. On a bad day, $60. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you wait for eternity to get it confirmed.
Right, with an extremely low fee. Right.
Something important I just want to mention is that we are fully, transparent. This is a custodial service. If you use LiteWorlds, of course, you're using it on somebody's node, right? And so for that reason, there was a little bit of I guess critical people being a little bit critical about that, and we said, well, we're not a business. We're just kind of doing this out of an experiment to test what we can do, and we did start working on a self custody um, plugin for LiteWorlds that is currently still in development. I tested the alpha; it works great. And for people that want to send their assets from Liteverse over to LiteWorlds, since they're shutting down OmniLayer, they can do so on the self custody wallet very soon if they do not want to use a custodial service.
Are you more geared towards developers at this point?
What developers? I have barely communication had with Anthony on chain, on the, I don't know, on any Discord, of
Okay.
course, but not really. I don't have really contact to ordinal devs. No.
I would say what we're doing is technical, but the point of the technical stuff that we're doing is to provide ease of use for the end user, and that's what the whole idea of LiteWorlds is. All these things that your buttons you're clicking, they're commands on a command line in an OmniLite node. We're making it very easy for users to just click and be able to do things and not think about how it works. Although if they want to know how it works, you can get more technical. So yes, it's for builders in the sense that this is basically a backend that is for people to be able to build on top of um, the PHP and be able to use OmniLayer without getting their own node and setting this all up themselves, because it's very complicated, as you said. But also, yes, it's for the end user, because the idea is that anybody can just log into the website, click transfer, or click on purchase a token on the DEX, and they don't have to use a command line. They don't have to get a node. So I would say in that way, it is more for the user, and for other ways, it's more for builders. It's for both.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm always curious about it. Like I said, you've been around a while. I think you're pushing boundaries and you're keeping this OmniLite kind of idea alive. I've heard at one point it may have been abandoned, but you guys are still doing it. So that's pretty neat. So you gave us a walkthrough. Some of us understand what you're doing, others don't.
I really, on myself, I don't really don't know what I do. So,
but it's an evolution of things. You just keep building things on it. So it's kind of like a big sandbox or something.
Yeah, it's sandbox. It's kind of school. LiteWorlds is kind of school, and I just have the advantage that I have my IT training.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my really solid base knowledge of IT stuff, for example, binary stuff or hexadecimal stuff or coding or set up Linux on PHP and web servers and database and blah, 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 and all this stuff. Yeah, it's good to have these skills, and I don't want to train people to get these skills, because it's really, I tried it with one of my musketeers, and it's a big job. It's a big job to train all this different stuff to some specific person. So I just want to share my stuff with the world by offering it via LiteWorlds.
I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I don't know what to do with it. I think I could play the game and I could send some transactions. I'm probably not going to go do a lot of command line, although I guess we could look them all up and I could figure it out. But I don't go into those areas that you do. But either way, I'm allowed to look like a fool to learn something, and that's why I bring you on, and that's okay. So we're talking about inscriptions, we're talking about NFTs, we're talking about second layers, we're talking about RPGs, we're talking about custodial wallets, soon with an option of non-custodial wallet, and also a way that you can interface with your OmniLite node, which I do have one, just standard, on an alternate platform. So those are all true statements, okay? But you mentioned you're also doing things with runes and ordinals as well?
Ordinals, well, the first thing what I have done with ordinals was replacing the IPFS content of OmniLite tokens, so that you create the Litecoin token and you have Litecoin content in it and not pointing to any other network. That was the first thing. The second thing was expanding the data limit, the 255 character limit. That was also pretty cool. And with runes, I just bought some magical unicorn money. I just saw it. I just thought, yeah, why not? Let's mint that shit. And yeah, meanwhile, it's minted out. Nobody is trading it. I don't know what's going on, but I have it.
What's the thing with unicorns? Why unicorns?
Yeah, I think horses have been our big thing as humanity, as humanity, humanity. Yeah,
Humanity.
Before technology came on the earth. So horses have been our big thing. Yeah. Then the train came.
Right.
And horses are really, really, really impressive creatures for me. And the unicorn is, yeah, the tops it.
The quintessential horse.
It's the
with magic.
It's the creaming top on the horse.
I had to ask you.
Yeah.
Why monochrome? Or binary art? Or black and white?
Why
these contrasting things?
Monochromicon is a character from Adventure Time. Adventure Time is a comic.
I know what that is. Did that horse, was that the horse that spoke Korean?
There is one episode where all genders are flipped, and then the Lady Rainbow became Lord Monochromicon. And the binary art is because I'm meanwhile so deep in the tag. So the base of the tag is 0, 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that's combined into pictures. And I just found an impressive converter where you can put pictures in, and then you get this 0, 1 matrix back in kind of an HTML code. And that's why, because it's HTML, I am able to signature my pictures.
You've commented before, actually pretty extensively, about the Dragon Ball narrative within Litecoin or Litecoin and Bitcoin. Do you follow that as well?
Yeah.
What significance do you see in that narrative?
Well, in Dragon Ball, these characters like Goku and Vegeta are unstoppable. Nobody, nothing in the universe can stop them. So, and that's why this narrative, I think that's the point why this narrative is used. I just saw it. I just was years ago. I just, okay, Litecoin. Oh, Litecoin. Oh, Charlie Lee made it. So I already heard about Charlie Lee before. So I was already, okay. And then I saw his Twitter account, and then I saw this Dragon Ball picture in his profile, and I was, oh my gosh, that's my project.
What about Vegeta beating Goku?
Vegeta beating Goku?
Correct.
No, maybe in your dreams, yeah.
Not ultimately, but in like an individual fight, because it's happened.
It's happened?
Yes.
When? I mean, Dragon Ball is a lot of episodes.
It's a newer one. I want to say it's from Superhero.
It's from Super. Oh, then it's the from the newest version of the Super.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not translated right now into German, and I don't have seen it, but I have seen any trailers that Vegeta shall become any Ultra Instinct version.
There's that as well.
Yeah, as far I know, in the whole Dragon Ball story, Vegeta is always the guy who is watching Goku fighting and is always angry because, oh, this guy already find out something new I don't have. I want it. Vegeta's always a step back behind Goku, and yeah, he's mad of it.
Mono, by the way, I noticed November 2022 on the Litecoin Talk forum, you posted about the World of Warcraft project, and you were freezing that to work on LiteWorlds full time. Was the World of Warcraft project going to use tokenization on OmniLayer?
No.
Okay. What was that project again?
It was in private server of World of Warcraft, and I disabled all gold generation in the game. So I simply made Litecoin gold swapping out.
So you would use Litecoin as the currency for the game. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
What's your synopsis, your brief call to action to say this is why you need to come over to LiteWorlds?
If you don't want to run your own OmniLite node, because OmniLite needs the full chain. OmniLite has an ugly bug. I would say it's called sanity check fails. If it occurs, you have to resync the whole blockchain. It's annoying. So yeah, better use it online in a web browser on a solid node.
I would say, if you support Litecoin, you support cryptocurrency, the best thing you can do is use the economy, use what you the Litecoin ecosystem, what's available to you, and you can use it for file storage. You can use it to transfer data, like creating a photo album out of a property ID, and then the album was filled with NFTs that were like just pictures and stuff. And you can do that. You can host it on IPFS. You can host it on the chain. It's just a good way, I feel like, to use Litecoin in a more like integrated way. And you don't have to. I mean, Litecoin's main purpose, let's all be honest here, it is a financial instrument, but you can also use it for more things. And I think data storage is a really important thing, and we'll see more and more with censorship around the world. The best way to have censorship-free data is on chain.
Yeah.
Here, 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 here. Will either of you be at the summit next week?
I can't. Sadly, I can't.
We'll look forward to that in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I
I
hear-
will not be there this year. Next year I will be there. I plan to go for my honeymoon next year, so that'll be exciting.
Wow.
I'm gonna be getting married in February, so that's like the idea.
Are you sure your
Nice.
wife's on board with that? Very good.
Yeah, she's a Litecoiner too. She's crypto queen on on X. So yeah, it's not like I'm dragging her there against her will. Like, she wants to go.
Okay, well, very, very cool. Very cool. Well, it's good to have you both talk about LiteWorlds. Is there anything you wanted to end with before we kind of end here?
Well, yeah, there's always coming new stuff on LiteWorlds. So we always sitting together, throwing ideas together, seeing it is possible to create it. What we didn't show you, for example, was Cluck. Cluck is some kind of remade of tweet or Twitter. So birds are tweeting, and on Litecoin we have chickens, and chickens doing clucks. So the base idea was creating an NFT collection, and if you want to write a message, you create an NFT, and the message is attached to the NFT, and so this whole collection is one chat.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Good deal. Well, friends, I'm going to let you go, and I appreciate it. We're in time zones, language barriers, difficult code discussions. But again, I think it's neat what you're doing at LiteWorlds, and I'd encourage anybody to visit liteworlds.quest. Thank you for coming to the 84 Million podcast today and contributing to the Litecoin ecosystem. So have a good evening, guys.
You
Thank
too.
you
God bless Kyle.
for being here.
Yep. Take care, guys. See ya.
Yeah.